As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. I was born into freedom in a wonderful land of mountains and plains, rivers and lakes. Forever American is what I am. A past as rich as any can be. My father's worked hard to give this to me. I love this place I come from. To live another way I cannot foresee. As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. As an American, I've been to the peaks of majestic mountains where the air is sweet. I've watched the eagle as it soars in beautiful skies that just can't be ignored. And by this country I'll always stand, for freedom and liberty for every man. When times are hard and things get rough, America always stands ready and rough. As an American, I eat apple pie, play baseball under its blue skies. As an American, I travel this land and follow her roads wherever I can. From sea to shining sea, I've seen a lot, and none of it will be forgot. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. And when my country called, I gave my all as an American. Forever American is what I am.
Hello, welcome back. How you guys doing tonight? Hopefully you can hear me okay. God bless you all. God bless America. How you guys doing tonight? Hi Retha. Hi Brenda. Hi Richard. Hi Debbie. Hi Tia. Hi Nana. Hi Paulette. Hi Tia. Hi Matt. Hi Linda. Hi Glinda. How you guys all doing tonight? Hopefully you guys are having a great night out there. Sorry I have not been live. Last weekend, of course, I did get to see my kids, which was great. But unfortunately, Grandpa is back in the hospital. Um, Aspirated a little bit and back right now, getting medication. But it seems he keeps ending up there. It's sad. Sad, but nothing sadder than what's going on with their entire country right now. This is ridiculous looking at, I mean, going through everything that's happened this week. It's just devastating. We have a sitting president that now we know has Chinese collusion. That's not a question. Selling our oil and everything, like I was talking about before, that I traced long before the story even broke about Biden's $5 million in oil, or selling China our goods or have any dealing with China. I knew about this selling the oil to China. I talked about it. Of course, nobody mainstream media is just now catching up. I mean, there's so many back end deals. Ukraine now showing back end deals. Burisma showing they have recordings now. I mean, this is crazy. Where are the impeachment articles against Biden? Where are they? Biden should be impeached for sending our natural assets to our enemy. I mean, let's be honest. And just a quick recap: we never changed the rules of the world. There are three things that any country needs to function: ample supply of food, water, and energy. Those are fundamental necessities for life. Diversity, equality, or inclusion. Food, water, and energy. That's what they are. If you have a surplus of food, water, or energy, you win. If you don't, you lose. Now, that may sound unfair, but we didn't make it the rules. Nature did. Can't choose to ignore them. But those rules will never change. Thankfully, Americans, we live in a country that is remarkably abundant in all three of those. The U.S. has the most fertile farmland in the world. We got more potable fresh water than virtually any place in the rest of the world. Rarest of all, America has a large recoverable oil reservoirs, some of the largest on the planet. What's crazy is watching when you find out U.S. or vice presidents at the time selling much of that stake to China. Now, so-called renewable energies like windmills and solar panels are about to power the world. That's absurd. No one correctly tells them that somebody should, because of a lot of stake, it costs a lot of oil and a lot of energy to produce those. The stakes are so high, I mean, and accompanying on the rest of us pointed out, people telling you that you have no idea what you're talking about because they think that green energy is just a step around the corner. Well, green energy is adding to the power grid, but it's not even remotely close to anything approaching it. To be honest, the fact is, as of today, the world's power, as it has been for a long time about fossil fuel, that's where more than 80% of global energy comes from. Not windmills, not solar panels, from oil and gas and coal. That's not going to change anytime soon. We may dream about changing it. We may dream about going solar for everybody. But that's a massive headache. And a lot of time will pass before that investment. Point is, solar is not cheap. It's wind energy. In fact, they're more expensive than oil and gas by a long shot. They want to get away from nuclear, but nuclear energy is cleaner. Both solar and wind energy along. It's sad to say, even looking at the meltdowns that have happened, devastation from them. More people would still have died from solar and wind energy than they have from nuclear fallout from power plants. But it's crazy. They're trying to apply social justice to power grids. You can name it whatever you want, call it something different. It's the same thing. Right now, we're trying to go electric cars, but at the same time, we have a grid that can't even handle the power needs we have now. Green futures, supposedly, what they want, but obviously that's not. The rich want to stay rich, and they want to keep the poor. That's the reason they introduced 15-minute cities. Let's be honest. all this happening under Biden's watch, knowing selling important necessities of U.S. to foreign nations. That gas deal, China is still getting gas from it. Pretty sad. And forget inflation, because the U.S. economy has a bigger problem. No politician would say it, but let's indulge the rich and stiff the poor. That's what's happening. That's what's happening globally, not just in the U.S. economy. People are worried about the U.S. economy these days. Let's be honest. Their focus is, myopic, if you look at it. Forget about the battle with inflation. It will be won eventually, perhaps at the cost of a painful recession, depression. The country will settle back to its previous trajectory at one point of problem. The real problem is that trajectory. America is turning into an oligoplastic economy, marginalizing the vast majority of its inhabitants. We see it happen day in, day after. Considered fairly conservative. That's what I think I am. Well, let's take the historical trends. The next 25 years, results are going to be alarming. 1% of Americans will account for 22% of the nation's total by 2048. Nobody's saying anything about that. As they try to push you into 15-minute cities to take away your gun rights, everything else. It's all happening right before your eyes, whether you want to see it or not. China's in bed with Biden directly, and guess what? Blinken is departing from Beijing. Crazy, huh? Especially because we're supposed to be at odds with them right now. The upcoming trip, of course, was supposed to happen back when the balloon saga happened, got postponed. U.S. officials are emphasizing the importance of a face-to-face diplomacy as the nation's top diplomat prepares to embark on the first visit to China, sitting Secretary of State in 5 years. This is crazy. So we have Biden's top man. Biden's administration is sitting their top man for intense diplomacy with China, despite knowing that Biden has been involved directly with making deals with China and getting paid for it. Not a question. We know that. We know he was sitting vice president when he negotiated these deals with China to sell them natural gas. Like I said, that they are still getting today. That contract will be long-standing. Despite us saying that our position in Taiwan, that we're not going to abandon them, the U.S. is now making plans to pull out some 80,000 Americans out of Taiwan in an emergency evacuation. They're making these plans. They're not in action yet. These plans are being set forth to withdraw all the people that we have in Taiwan out in one big swoop. Nobody's talking about that. We're just going to surrender Taiwan now? Is that the plan? The Pentagon said we can't handle fighting China right now. To be honest. Just last week, another close call on Taiwan Strait occurred days prior when Chinese warship crossed about just over 150 yards from an American destroyer's bow. But yet, Secretary of State Blinken is going to Beijing for Biden. Let's be honest. Yeah. We're turning into a monarchy. We have Trump indicted for something that the Presidential Records Act totally would allow him to do. Everything he's done. including hold on to those documents, is his decision. Yes, he has to negotiate with the records department, but does not mean he has to turn over anything that he has. And that's what people misunderstood or understand. His indictment is a complete joke at this point. You cannot use the Espionage Act on a previous sitting president for stuff he did while he was in office. You can't. The Presidential Records Act allows him to take any document he wanted and make it declassified. He could show anybody he wanted. He can keep anything he wanted, as long as a copy got sent back to the national. People are misunderstanding what that actually means. Biden wasn't a sitting president ever before now. He had classified documents from when he was in the Senate that he wasn't even allowed to have. He took them out of a skiff, but yet no charges were brought against him. These charges are going to change the history of America, one way or another. Whether the charges go through and he gets actually charged or actually convicted or not. This is going to set a precedence for every single American anywhere to be charged unjustly for any reason. This is a trial case for every American citizen. They're already talking about new gun laws, about changing the Second Amendment. Oh, the Second Amendment applied back in the day because we only had powder rifles. The Second Amendment applied back then. We had cannons too. Guess what? People had cannons in their front yard. Any weapon that the military could possess was allowed to be possessed by any man. Now, the reason for that is to stop tyranny. It is not about defending oneself from their neighbors. It's about defending oneself from their government. Our government has overreached and overstepped in every aspect in any way. We look at what's happening in society today. It's pretty obvious. Anybody can see the problems. As we look out and we see the flaws and the misdirection, the push to keep Americans in check. It's a joke. We were once a great country because we stood amongst our beliefs. Yes, there is great tragedies. School shootings happen. An idiot gets a gun and does something stupid. But you know how you stop idiots with a gun? I bet you anybody can answer this. It's somebody that knows how to use a gun and having one to defend themselves. I mean, you go back 40 years ago, literally, kids would leave their guns hanging in their gun rack at school in their truck. It wasn't a question, it just happened. There was no rules restricting it. Gun crime was a lot less back then. You didn't have people going into school campuses and shooting them up. Of course, teachers carried guns on them. A lot of states were still open carry. And that makes a big difference. We look at what's happening today. It's not because of the kind of weapon or the evolution of weaponry. It's because the softness of society. Thinking something's greater when it's not. We unfolded this problem ourselves. We made it happen. And we keep making it happen. As American citizens, we need to stand up at some point. Any point now. They're indicting political opponents because they want to indict them. Now, what kind of democracy is that? And they want to take away your gun rights, force you into cities to get rid of your vehicle. You'll never own anything, and be happy motto needs to go. I am sorry. It is sickening out there. Absolutely sickening. And the U.S. can play it any way they want. I mean, Biden should be impeached just over China. Now we have Ukraine, and the border crisis is another thing. Joe Biden failing to secure the southern border is alone an impeachable offense, according to our country. I mean, it's a constitutional duty to secure the southern border, to any border. And under the Constitution, that is an impeachable offense. And why isn't it done yet? Nobody wants to stand up. Nobody has a backbone. This isn't the America that anybody wanted. Our families didn't want this growing up. They definitely didn't want us for us. Our families thought America would be great forever. Forefathers. Instead, we're funneling more money into Ukraine. And who knows where that money's going? Because right now, I can tell you, right as of this moment, most of that money that's going into Ukraine that isn't being kicked back is paying for fighters to join the fight from other countries and to attack directly in Russian territory with NATO supplied weapons, NATO supplied vehicles, and NATO supplied money. So whether we want to call it a war with us, between Russia and us or not, that's what it is. Ukraine can't stand on its own. I mean, Ukraine's counteroffensive is failing. Let's be honest. I mean, even war correspondents that have been following the war saying the catastrophic levels that are happening, the failure. Of course, Zelensky denies the counteroffensive is failing. There's no movement forward. Every step, every meter of Ukrainian land that has been liberated from Russia or from Ukraine has not been taken back from Russia. I mean, Ukrainian military declared Wednesday night that Russia lost the past 24 hours 680 soldiers and 8 tanks, an air defense system. Both sides giving daily claims about enemies, casualties. But the problem is there is no movement on the ground. Ukraine has not moved forward, even using our most modern weapons that we provided them. Even after keeping half their fighting force out of the fight, supposedly training to become greater than Russia's military. It's sad. It is absolutely sad what's happening. Loss of civilian lives is higher than anybody's. But why are we there? And why is the U.S. announcing it's sending another military aid package worth $325 million? That's what I want to know. You're going to keep dumping money into a country that obviously isn't winning. Donetsk region, there's been no movement. And the Tamak region, the Mariupol region, all of them, no movement. Supposedly, just south of Donbass, Ukraine has regained a small amount of territory after a week of intense fighting and running out of weaponry. It's crazy. Russian troops, therefore, let's be honest, Russian troops right now are getting bonuses for destroying Western tanks. Russian troops have destroyed German-made Leopard tanks and U.S.-supplied armored vehicles being used by Ukraine, are receiving bonuses from the defense minister of Russia, making them more apt to go out and put themselves in danger, extreme danger, to take out these vehicles. And it's working. The war started nearly 16 months ago, but in the last few weeks since this payment is happening and currently being made to servicemen for the Russian Federation Armed Forces, we're seeing a massive amount of vehicles and destruction of these items. I mean, more than 16,000 vehicles and tanks have been destroyed that have been given to Ukraine by Western military. An enemy armored with about 50,000. An enemy armored vehicle is worth about 50,000 rubles, which is only $596. And the tanks were double that. But yet that's giving them enough incentive to go and do what they need to do. Every plane or helicopter that gets destroyed, that's 300,000. We're watching Russia win a war of attrition by very, very small incentives. Not bringing in their newer technology. We haven't seen Russia using their newer planes. And you got to remember this. Russia's new tank, we've only seen it once in the battlefield. And it's said to have hundreds of these at a minimum. Russia's firing old weapons. Still, knowing that they're producing over 60 hypersonic missiles daily. Production over that. That's the last numbers we got was daily. And that was 3 months ago. So I wonder what's happening. Meanwhile, NATO, of course, is having the largest Air Force drills in history. I think this is definitely something to watch and keep you watching because this training exercise is meant to demonstrate the alliance's capability and solidarity against Russia. But really, it has a very close tipping point. Of course, NATO launches the largest Air Force deployment exercise in alliance's history. Watching what's happening is just a joke. They're war games. War games that are carefully planned by NATO. And these exercises in Germany that started on Monday and 23 other NATO countries, including Finland, Switzerland. All it takes is one of these planes going into Belarus and getting shot down, and World War III has started. Maybe that's what they want. It sure seems like it to me. If I was just an everyday American citizen and I didn't know any better, I would think, oh, we're just trying to make sure we're prepared. This is not preparation. This is basically getting ready to enact chaos. Let's be honest. That's what happens when military exercises go awry. Or weapons of mass destruction are found in battle. Let's be honest. They'll use any excuse to get us into a war. So if one of our planes were to go off party lines and accidentally cross an airspace that it's not allowed in and get shot down, you're guaranteed that what we'll hear here is that Russia fired into NATO airspace. Sad to say, but I can't even trust our own government at this point. Very, very sad. It's a sad day in America, and it's a sad day for Americans. Be prepared. That's all I can say is be prepared. There's a reason this administration has been taking over mines, salt mines, coal mines, every kind of mine, limestone mines, and stockpiling resources. They're not doing it for their own good. Buying $260 million with anti-radiation medication. That's not for them. No way. They're not doing it just because it might happen. They're doing it because they plan on pushing something to happen. And you got to remember that. The rich are going to remain rich. America's top elite are going to keep pushing to the top, pushing more people down to the median income of even what if you're making $72,000 and you're still within the bottom of percentage points of living, actually cost of living. What if you're below the 200% poverty line and you're only one out of 99% of people? What if the 99% become people all making under 200% poverty? Because that's the country we're heading for. Whether we fall, whether we falter. Our government obviously wants to attack the poorest of us, make the richest strong. Watching this administration, though, what it's doing, not just to American citizens, but to the government itself, to politics. America is no longer free. Hasn't been for a long time. But it's no longer just at this point. The injustices are outweighing anything or any kind of positivity we could see. Sad. That's the fact. Injustice and political parties playing games with American lives. And you can't say there's just politicians on the left or just on the right that want more. They all do. They all see our national debt issue. But the solution is going to cost American lives. And that's where we should draw the line. America is not for sale. I'll say that all day long. My life means more than some number in some book for somebody to get paid on. But we have to be prepared. We have to wake up. God bless you all. God bless America. Good night. Hopefully, I will be on tomorrow night. Bar nothing more happens. It's been a crazy week. Grandpa in and out of the hospital. We're trying to take a vacation to see my kids. Very hard. Definitely appreciate everybody here, though. God bless you all. God bless America. And stay strong. Keep your head up. Get prepared because we don't know what's coming next. Good night for now.